Hi, I'm Nikki Lowe, and welcome to the Wisdom for Working Mums podcast show, where I share insights and interviews that support women to combine their family, work, and life in a more successful and sustainable way. Welcome to this episode, and I'm so excited to be sharing today's guest with you. If you've ever felt that taking a career break has disadvantaged you in your career and in business, then today's guest is going to be music to your ears. It's easy to lose ourselves in motherhood and fall into the unhelpful narrative that being a mother disadvantages us in our career and in business. But as I say, today's guest is here to prove the motherhood advantage, that the skills we pick up in motherhood allow us to become exceptional business leaders. Today, I'm joined by Maxine Laceby, the founder and CEO of Absolute Collagen. Maxine went from a stay-at-home mother of 25 years to boiling up bones at a kitchen table for collagen benefits, which catapulted her to become a leading beauty entrepreneur. She has taken the market by storm, building a credible and ever-growing beauty business. It was turning over 1 million in just one short year and over 20 million just a few years later. In 2017, Maxine successfully launched Absolute Collagen despite having no prior corporate or commercial experience. And 5 years on, she's secured external investment, and in 2021, the company turned over 20 million. Absolute Collagen has thousands of loyal absoluters, and it enjoys multiple rave reviews and has won multiple prestigious business beauty awards. And Maxine has herself won numerous business accolades, including the NatWest Every Woman's Award and Great British Entrepreneur Awards, and was named one of the LDC's top 50 most ambitious business leaders of 2020. Maxine runs her business with the help of her two daughters, and they now enjoy the massive success that they've built from their family kitchen table. And I'm so excited to welcome Maxine to the Wisdom for Working Mums podcast show, as not only have I followed her journey from a distance over the last few years, Maxine lives only about 10 minutes away from where I live and we share mutual friends, but I only met her last year when I got to know her personally when we participated in a charity trek. We were both on Emma Willis's team for a 100-kilometre trek through the Scottish Highlands for the breast cancer charity Copperfield. So I got to experience the amazingness of this woman up close and personal. And I knew I had to get her on the podcast show to share her wisdom and inspiration with you. So I'm delighted that Maxine joins us today to share all about why she thinks the skills we pick up in motherhood make us brilliant in business. And I can't wait to dive in. I know you're going to love this conversation, so I won't keep you any longer. Let's welcome Maxine. So welcome, Maxine. It's a real pleasure to have you on the podcast because I know we've talked about this for a little while. Mm-hmm. So thank you for joining me.
Absolute pleasure. I'm really, really glad to be here.
So obviously we met on our Copperfield trek in September, but you're somebody that I've been aware of for a number of years now, we live in the same local area, and I'd seen what you'd been doing with Absolute Collagen from a distance, but I'd never actually met. And obviously we got to meet in September, and I was just absolutely blown away by your story and what you're doing for not only in your own business, but to inspire other people. And I knew I'd want to get you on the podcast to share some of that. So thank you for helping to make this happen.
Pleasure. I mean, it was wonderful to meet you, and the Copperfield challenge was amazing. And it's amazing that we live 10 minutes apart and we haven't met. It's so bizarre.
I know. So, I just know people are going to love what you've got to share today. I'm sure people have come across Absolute Collagen, but if they haven't, can you just share a little bit about what is Absolute Collagen? What is the business about?
Sure. So Absolute Collagen is a collagen brand. So our first product was our marine collagen supplement, liquid. We are responsible for the collagen market because when we started, there were skin supplements, but there was no just collagen supplements. So it's a supplement you ingest, comes in a sachet. We've then got a collagen boosting serum that goes on the face, and we've just launched our hair care range.
This is incredibly exciting. So I'd love for you to kind of start with how this all came about. You know, you've achieved such phenomenal success in a relatively short amount of time, but could you take us back to where it all started from, please?
Yeah, of course I can. And, I think looking back over the last 5-6 years, that success, I believe, has come from remaining me. So stepping into my own skin and being me at all times. And I think that's really, really important for women, because I think, we're chameleons, and it's in our DNA. We have to wake up every morning and go, who should I be today? Who do I need to be today? What hat do I wear? And I kind of got to a stage in my life where nobody needed me anymore. So Darcy, my eldest, was going off to uni. Margot, my youngest, was doing her A-levels. And I just woke up one morning and went, wow, I can choose my hat. Nobody needs me. And it was just the most freeing, just time. I was a single mum, and so we all know how hard that is. Being a mum full stop's really hard. So that was a revelation for me. While most of my friends were panicking about their children growing up and leaving, I was like, what can I do? So I embarked on a fine art degree. So I was just about to turn 50, and I've always been interested in art, not at all educated. I've got basic education in where I grew up. It wasn't about education. It was about going and earning money. So right from a very early age, I had to go out and work in cafes and paper rounds and God knows what to earn money. And career, qualifications was just not important. So I never had that opportunity. So I found myself sort of thinking, oh, this is really exciting. So always been interested in art, started a fine art degree in Wolverhampton, which is a fantastic university, actually, and which is my hometown. And one of my first projects, probably about 6-7 months into my first year, I did this project where I stripped myself bare of makeup and let my hair go grey. Now, what you've got to remember is my hair it is curly, it was long, it was tumbling curls. I'd have it dyed every 6 weeks because I was grey. And, everybody say to me, oh, it's your crowning glory, your hair, and all the rest of it. And I just thought, I wonder how people will react to me, a woman of a certain age with no makeup, letting her hair go grey and looking a bit dowdy, sort of, would I disappear in their vision? And actually what I quickly worked out is how desperately insecure I was about who I was. And I found myself not wanting to go out because I just felt really scruffy. And it was really quite alarming, actually. And I started dressing down, like, wearing clothes that were kind of not noticeable, so that I kind of slipped into the background. It was the most bizarre feeling. And even going shopping, I remember sort of, we had a trip to London with the university. I didn't want to go. I mean, it was so sad. So I sat myself down and said to myself, Maxine, this is really, really sad. You are nearly 50. You need to sort this out, girl. And so I looked at myself physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And one of the first physical things I did is I started making and drinking my own bone broth. I think Americans were sort of at the time banging on about bone broth, and I'd always made my own gravy, so I knew what to do. So I just kept boiling up these pots of big vats of sort of bones from my Sunday joint. Sorry if anyone's a vegetarian. And just bringing it up to boil, and then slowly reducing it down, leaving it on for about 6 hours, and you'd get this wonderful jus. And I would let it go cool, and I would drink it, and I just had the most amazing sense of well-being. And I remember my eyes really sparkling, and I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh my God. And my friends were like, what are you doing? Because I know you're not wearing makeup and you're letting your hair go grey. And I think at that point I'd actually bleached my hair and it was yellow. It was just really bad. I'd had it cut really short and I just said, yeah, do you know, I just feel really good. And they were asking me to make it for them. So I was making it for them. Did lots of research online, so good old Google, spoke to lots of very professional people, scientists, and I kind of worked out. So I knew when I left the bone broth to go cold, it would form a jelly on top. And I knew that jelly wasn't fat. And I was like, what's that jelly? And something was telling me it was the jelly that was, I don't know why. And I quickly worked out that the jelly was collagen. And that's how the journey began. And did lots more research. Well, at that time, this is quite funny, the best form of collagen I could get in my kitchen was, wait for it, pig's trotters and chicken feet. And I literally started boiling up these massive fats, and my children were like looking at me going, oh, she's lost it again. And it became really hard work, because if I ran out, they'd go mad. And so I did lots more research, and this is all within a space of about a year and a half. It wasn't quick. And I then learned about marine collagen, so from fish, and it had a better bioavailability. What that means is the way your body breaks it down is far superior to bovine, pork, or chicken, or any other collagen. So I knew that marine collagen was the one I want. However, cooking up massive vats of bone was not going to happen in my house. And like I say, it was just becoming hard work. So I looked around and I found a supplier of marine collagen. And I said to myself, this is really hard work making it in my kitchen. What do me and my friends want from a collagen supplement? We wanted the best form of collagen, of marine collagen my body needed, the maximum amount my body needed. We wanted it ready mix. We didn't want to have to keep it in the fridge. We wanted to be able to take it on the go, take it anywhere. And I didn't want to pay a lot of money for it. And that's exactly what I created. So that is a long story, very short. So yeah, it's really weird how the fine art degree led to Absolute Collagen. And what is so I two things that are really strange, actually. Firstly, I made the choice to step into Maxine. I think as women, I went through this but that point when I was with no makeup and felt really insecure. I just thought, you've got to be Maxine, just be you. And I imagined every morning sitting on my bed and putting on this onesie that's Maxine. And I physically used to sit there, put my Maxine onesie on and get up. It was really bizarre until I didn't have to do that anymore because I was being Maxine. And it's really bizarre that, I stepped into my own skin and created a skincare supplement, which is very strange. And the other really, really mad thing about this, and I'm a great believer in energy. I think if your energy's right, if it's pure, if you're doing things for the right reason, if you do things well, I think good things happen. And Darcy went off to university at exactly the same time as me. She was doing psychology. Darcy's my eldest daughter. She changed right at the last minute to do food science. Now, bear in mind, there was no mention of collagen whatsoever. So about a year in to my fine art degree, she kind of said, what are you doing? What are you cooking? Da, 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 da. Her dissertation was on our product. Mad. Absolutely crazy. And I think that's what happens when everything's aligned and for the right reasons. And I know that sounds romantic, but that's kind of who I am.
But I think that's what's so powerful about your story. And I have no doubt it's what's contributed to your success, because if anybody has the pleasure of meeting you, you just exude an energy that is, you just want to be around you, Maxine, because as you say, you are absolutely yourself. You have achieved great success, but you're incredibly humble and have humility with it. But there's something very special about you. And I think it is that you're not performing for anybody or anything. You're just doing what your heart desires, and you've attracted all this success that goes along with it. And I think that's such a powerful story for other people to hear, to go, actually, if I can strip back all the layers of stuff that we learn that we should be doing and who we ought to be, and connect to who I really am beneath that, there's so much power in it.
I think so, but I think it's very difficult. And I do think, looking back on my motherhood, I would like to say that I'm definitely my own person and I used to do exactly what I wanted. Well, unfortunately, if we really, really look at it, when we have children, we all have to conform a little bit, because you don't want your kids at the school gates to be the odd one out because their mum's crazy. I mean, yes, I would have always been crazy, but there's a slight bit of conformity. And I don't care what anyone says, you have to, because your children have to come first.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you'd been a stay-at-home mum for kind of nearly 25 years at that point. Yeah. And the confidence it must have taken to start your own business, what do you think helped you to really kind of overcome any limiting beliefs or fears or doubts to just do it?
Do you know, I get asked that a lot, really. And it's quite simple in the sense of, I'm a woman. I write a list and get it done. And that's what we do. We don't complicate things. And I knew this product worked. My benchmark was always the product works. I knew it worked. And I knew it was my mission to bring it for my friends and then bring it to as many people as possible to empower them. And I literally, I guess if I knew everything I had to learn, I would probably run a mile. But we're all learning on the job, and you take little bite size. The business was not a £25 million business on day one. It was a couple of £100 turnover. And so you grow with the business. And I think if you look at the end goal, it's terrifying. So I never really looked at it, and I still don't, because I love what I do. So the horizon's always the horizon, yeah? You never get there. And I don't mean that in we're reaching for the sky. And I mean it in, if you're enjoying the journey, you can always do better. And so for me, it's just literally about getting on with the job in hand. And, it's crazy really to think I created this formula in my kitchen. And when I went to a blender who'd been blending for Holland & Barrett and Boots for 25 years, he was a little bit arrogant and he said to me, "It's a stupid formula. It will never blend." And I told him a little secret of what I did in my kitchen. And I'm obviously not going to tell you that.
Yeah.
It's a very, very simple thing. There's a couple of components to it, but yeah. He phoned me up a week later and apologised. And he said, "Maxine, I've got to say, well done." And it's little moments like that. But what I took from that is nobody in science had ever worked that out, right? I'm just a woman doing my thing, because women, we are solution focused and we just get on with it. And I do think, so I'm ADHD and dyslexic, and I was diagnosed with ADHD at university, which is hilarious because I told my children, they went, "Yeah, we kind of figured that." But those two components on their own, so ADHD and being solution focused, means you will always find a way, because when I look back, I've always had to think around things. I've always had to find a way, and my way is never straightforward. And I do think that's what women are incredibly capable of.
Yes. And I'm also hearing in your story how there's almost like a servant leadership about, actually, I wanted to provide my friends and myself and the people around me with the best product. And it kind of took you out of the equation. It's, well, I just want to show up and do the right thing. And as you say, just put one foot in front of the other to find the solution to get to the next stage.
Do it is really that simple. And the other thing I always say, all I ever have to do is the next right thing. It is so, so simple. I love paying tax. I pay that. I'm so proud that I contribute to the UK economy, because my children work within the business, and, our heads need to hit the pillow every single night, and we need to know we're doing the right thing. So we never cut corners ever. And I think that is really important, because it is easy to think, "Oh, I just won't do that." Well, you can't. If you're going to do stuff, do it properly, because it will come back to bite you on the bum. And you don't want that.
And I also love that, your children are working in your business with you. That's so powerful that you've created this, that, is a family business, and it truly is.
It is. And, they're here because they want to be. I mean, Darcy sort of came by default because and I guess another thing, I am rubbish at many, many things, right? One of my biggest strengths is my intuition and my capability to work people out really, really quick. Now, that comes from a misplaced childhood, which I won't go into now. But my childhood gave me so many skills. It's unbelievable. It was very dysfunctional. I was left on my own a lot. I was lonely from the age of 9 and all those things. But I don't ever feel sorry for myself, because I was like everyone else in the 70s in a council house estate, right? I was no different. And all those skills I learned are, they just set me in good stead, really. And so the things I'm not good at, so my first batch, when you have to get a first batch made, and you have to order quite a big amount to make it, otherwise the manufacturers won't make it, and it went off because I didn't sell it. The second one, I forgot to order ingredients. So that's when Darcy stepped in and went, "Oh, do you want me to do the operations?" I was like, "Yes, please." So that's how she came on board. And, I then I met a guy that I knew somewhere else, and he was really good at tech, and I could see he was a really, really good person. And he was our tech guy, and I'm still incredibly close with Brad. He's like family to us. He decided to leave when we sought investment because the business got slightly, I wouldn't say corporate, but there was a lot of strategy that came in, which some people don't like. So he decided to leave. That's fine. But I think what I'm saying is I know what I'm not great at. And that is a massive skill. And I think most women are really good at that. In fact, we're actually brilliant at looking at our things we're rubbish at, but turn it into a positive, and that's what I did straight away. Is I knew if I wanted this business to be successful, I needed to put people in to sort of support the areas where I was not strong in.
I love that. And I think what's so powerful hearing you is actually about that intuition. And I think women have a very strong sense of it, but it's often not paid enough attention to or given enough credit in the business world.
I think so. And I did a article for, I think it was a Sunday Times. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, the lady interviewed me. I spent months chatting to her. And then she said, at the end of it, she said, "And what's the one piece of advice? And how have you made this, Maxine? What's the one thing?" And I said, "My intuition." And she went, I can't write that. The men won't like it." And I said to her, "Don't bother publishing it because I'm not going to change my answer." And intuition is really, really important. And I think being an older woman, I'm 56 now. And I do think as you get older, I think we all have that intuition. We just need to learn to listen to it, to recognize it, then to listen to it, and then to trust it. And I can honestly say, hand on heart, I've never been wrong, and that's from a misplaced childhood, so I've got a lot to thank that for. I had to have my wits around me as a kid to keep me safe. And that means I can walk into any room and suss people out straight away. And it's a positive. I'm very, half a glass half full person. I always say I need one drop and then the sun will make the rest. Sun in a mirror, one drop of water, you got loads.
Yeah, I love that. So what have been some of your other lessons in growing Absolute Collagen? Because I imagine the journey you must have gone on is phenomenal. So what have been some of your other lessons about growing a successful business?
I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is understanding myself and how I work. I always thought I was very impulsive, and I am very, very impulsive. There's no doubt about that. I'm very much a risk taker as well. However, what I've learned is the risks I take are calculated risks. So I look at the consequences. So when I wanted to invest the money that I put into Absolute Collagen the first year, I sat my children down and said, right, this is what I want to put into the business. And they said, what does that mean? I said, well, if it means if it's not successful, we have to sell this house and live in a smaller one. Are you okay with that? Yeah, I'm okay with that. So I did it. So I think you have to, for me, it's about understanding, yes, I'm a risk taker, but I do calculate the risk. I'm not that stupid. I think you always have to calculate the risk and realize that actually it might not go to plan. You might have to change direction at some point, and that's okay. And I think the other thing I've learned about myself, which has really surprised me, is I need time to digest and ponder a decision. So especially with bringing in a new CEO, which we did recently, and I knew I was never going to be the CEO to take this business forward. I have no experience. It would be very disrespectful to my absoluters and very disrespectful for my team. So we need somebody with absolute experience that can stand at the helm, and really, really drive us. And she really does. She's amazing. And there was 3 at the end that I really liked and that had all the experience. And because we've got an investment, our investors tend to cross the T's and dot the I's and make sure they have the experience. My kind of brief to myself is, how is this going to work? What's the energy like between us? Is she an absoluter? because our absoluters are a certain type of people. They're lovely women. They're everyday women. They work hard and they challenge. I needed her to be all those things. I didn't need her to be precious. So there was 3 people in the mix, and I guess one of them most people liked, and there's something, I just couldn't put my finger on it. And I said, what is it? What is it? What is it? And I had to spend the whole week thinking. I couldn't make a decision straight away. And what I came to realize is, now, I don't ever want to, it sounds really awful, but, me and my CEO aren't going to go on a holiday, on a beach holiday together and lie on the beach, yeah? We've got very working respect for each other. But she would, this other person who was in the mix would never be part of my inner circle. And that spoke volumes to me. But it took me a week to work out where my uncomfortableness was coming from. And I think that's the biggest thing I've learned is I need time. And I think we all sometimes, if you can't make a decision right there and then, it's okay. It doesn't mean you're a rubbish business person. It just means you need to find what's going on. How is this feeling? Why is this making me feel like this? And that's been quite a shock to me, actually. And one I've really come to embrace.
Oh, I love that. And it's a big part of leadership, isn't it? Having the time to think, because we live and work in such fast paced environments that having that good quality thinking time is often, it feels like a luxury. But when we give ourselves it, I love that you do that.
And I think it's important. I think I'm really lucky because I'm single by choice. I like being single. My girls don't live at home anymore. And I have time. I always say to people, my business life is full on. My personal life is beautifully uneventful. And I like that. And I'll go out for a run and I'll go out for a walk. I mean, I've just spent the weekend doing the 5 peaks in the Lake District, went on my own, joined a group of people. And I think, and the weird thing is though, I clean when I think. That's not good. I'll clean cupboards and I know, if I'm cleaning loads, there's something going on in my head. But I think as an older woman, I do think you know yourself far much better, and you have the privilege of time, actually, because, I don't have young children anymore.
But I think it says a lot about your mindset as well, because people could see that as a scarcity mindset, whereas you're seeing it as an abundance mindset of, I've got this time and I'm at this age where I gain so much from it. I know that you're incredibly passionate about empowering women. I know you've got a book in the pipeline, and you do a lot of charitable stuff as well. Where do you think that passion comes from, and what do you wish other women knew about themselves?
Well, this is really, I had to really dig deep going on my own journey, because I am, right from day one, I've been extremely passionate about empowering women, being the absolute truth every single time, turning up as you. It's just so important to me. And I think it goes back to when I first started Absolute Collagen, I created a benchmark for the price of liquid collagen supplements. And somebody really, really challenged me. And I spent 2 weeks thinking about this. He said to me, why do you want to charge, I think at the time it was $29.99 a box, when you could charge $39.99 a box? And I could have done, absolutely could have done. Bear in mind that, collagen is a subjective cost. So once people realize there's 8 grams of hydrolyzed marine collagen in each sachet and it's £1.94, they go, okay, I get that now. So it's price perception. Anyway, I really had to go away and question I could not put any more on it. It just felt really uncomfortable. And I spent 2 weeks thinking about this, and I suddenly saw my mum. Now, my mum passed away about, 15 years ago, and she was a single mum. She was an alcoholic. She was a beautiful, beautiful lady, had many, many issues, but she was a good, good soul. And I remember going around all the beautiful stores in Bath, that's my hometown where I came from, holding my mum's hand at 7 years old, wondering why my mum couldn't afford the lipsticks and things that other women could. And it just hit me like a bolt. And I said, that's where it's come from. And if I look at my mum's family, she was a big family. I think there were 16 of them. And the women were all really, really, really strong. They were humble. They were strong. They didn't have a lot. They supported each other, and they just got on with the job in hand. And I really, truly believe that's where it's come from. And, when I get called an incredible entrepreneur or an amazing businesswoman, I just say woman full stop. Because we are incredible. And I remember looking at other successful women thinking, oh my God, I'll never be like that. Because we always judge our internals against somebody's externals, thinking, oh, they look like they've got it all going on. We're all the same. We're all learning on the job. We're all absolutely equal. But I just think that everyday women, and I consider myself an everyday woman, we just don't get the recognition and the value we deserve. That's why I'm so passionate about empowering women. Really.
And I know you've shared some of your kind of background with me, and I can see how that's left such a profound imprint on you, and that you're living that. And I just love that, because it could have affected you in a number of different ways, but you're doing something so incredibly positive with it. So what do you wish other women knew about themselves?
I guess the biggest thing I learned is everything you need is right inside you. You just don't see it. And, I see these people coming through with products and they want to be an overnight success. And I'm just like, in fact, there was a guy there the weekend chatting to me, and he's got a product. He said, oh, I've been going a year and it's not happened. Or words to that effect. I said, because, everyone looks at me and thinks she's an overnight success. We've been working really, really, really hard for 5 years. We went live 5 years ago in May, but we were working 2 years before that behind the scenes. So 7 years, really, really hard work, and people don't see that. But I just think everything you need is inside you. And when I say about, we judge our internal against someone's external, I always say to everybody, turn up as you. I spent years trying to be somebody else because I thought everybody needed, I was never going to be enough. The moment I turned up as Maxine, the moment I could throw that onesie off that I put on every morning because it just was me, the moment I became Maxine Laceby, the moment the world opened up to me. And I never, ever knew I had it inside me. And I think if you're creating a product, a service, or a brand, whatever you're doing, you got to find your own voice, because you will speak to your audience different than I will, because it's you. And you've got to own that part of you. And I just think that's really important. And I don't think women do that enough, to be honest with you, because we're always having to wear different hats and conform. So yeah, I just say definitely be you.
I love that. And I think you're absolutely right. I think from very young girls, we're taught to please, perfect, perform, prove ourselves. And that just, I was talking to somebody the other day and they shared a statistic with me, which was just shocking. They were saying by the age of around about 8, girls' confidence drops by 30% compared to their boy counterparts.
I get that.
And it continues throughout life, that 30%.
Well, it's incredible, isn't it? Because, I chatted to somebody the other day and she said, what did you want to be when you grew up? I said, a boy. Because boys had a better life than girls.
Wow.
I used to do all the housework from 9 years old. We used to have this bloody twin-tub washing machine. Oh, I used to have to do all the washing, all while serving my brother breakfast in bed. And I thought that was okay. Because that's the way I was brought up. That's the way my mum was brought up. Men are more important, And, don't get me wrong, I think men have a damn hard time right now, and I wouldn't want to be a man. I'd be terrified to open my mouth. And I do think we need both, yin and yang. It's really, really important, and we need to respect each other, But yeah, I do think, what was that? Oh, you told me to read the book by Glenn Donnan. Yes. And there was this stuck in my mind. There's a brilliant book, by the way. Thanks for recommending that. And there's a one, and I would have said this wasn't me, but soon, I would have said this wasn't me, but as soon as I read it, I thought that was me. So she said that there's a part in there where she goes into her teenagers, had friends around, and the boys and the girls were all watching TV. And she walks in and she says, "Who wants lunch?" The boys didn't even look away from the TV. They went, "Yes." No, or no. The girls looked at each other and said, "What do you want to do? Do you want lunch?" And I thought that was massive.
Yeah.
Looking for approval. Massive.
And that actually goes back to that research about the 30% drop, is that actually girls' confidence is the way in which we walk in the world is in an interdependent world. So we're constantly comparing and checking and making sure we belong, where boys' confidence is more independently led. And that's like a biological wiring. So you can absolutely, that story is so powerful.
I love it.
For representing that.
It stopped me in my tracks, actually, because I thought, wow, I can see that. I can see that everywhere, to be honest with you. Even at work sometimes, I'll say something, the men will go, yeah, and the girls look at each other. And it's just our wiring. It's the way we are.
Yeah. And that can be really powerful, but it's understanding when is it useful and when is it not. So
but I do think that women have a responsibility as well, though. And I was chatting to somebody the other day about this as well. Like, a man, what is it? The latest is for every pound a man earns, a woman will earn 87 pence. And, I was reading something that really shocked me about the Black country and how we used to make chains. We were really big for chains. And this really shocked me. So back in the day, however long ago, the men would make the big chains and the women were only allowed to make the small chains because you were paid on weight. So the men did their job in 6 hours, the women took 10. But I think, and we allowed that to happen. And I don't think we can be angry about that. I think we just have to be responsible and go, okay, that's how it was then. We need to change this. And I don't like the anger. Unfortunately, when there is change, I think anger is part of that process. But I think we need to move into more of okay, that's the way it was. We now need to get a bit level on this rather than attacking men, because I do think it's a little bit frightening how the way some women are.
Yeah, because as you say, the yin and yang together are so powerful, and it's about honouring and respecting the differences.
It is, but the pendulum needs to swing right the other way in order to come back, and that's what we're doing right now. We are kicking ass, and it is right. We just need to make sure we do it respectfully, I think.
So I'm curious, Maxine, when you talk about putting on this Maxine kind of shape onesie, because I think that's such a powerful metaphor. What did you start to notice you did differently when you consciously, because I'm hearing that it became then an unconscious kind of just thing that you just became you. But when you first started to do that, what did you notice you would do differently or feel differently?
Do you know what? The weirdest thing was I became quieter in a happy way. I didn't feel the need to prove myself when I walked into a room. And that's the thing, I've never been asked that question before. And the thing that comes into my head is I became quieter because I was more content with me. And I didn't feel the need to be bravado and crack a joke or, oh, I'm here. You know what I mean? People aren't bloody interested if I'm here or not. Do you know what I mean? And that's something you realise, that everyone's got their own stuff going on. No one's interested in you, and that's right. That's how it should be. I think that was the biggest thing I noticed. I became quieter. It's really weird.
The words that come into my mind. Yeah. I imagine you being more centred and more grounded.
Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, very much thoughtful, very much, centred and grounded. I like that. Yeah.
And it reminds me of, I often share the principle of Aikido for leadership, and Aikido being the martial arts. And one of the things that Aikido is all about, compared to the other martial arts, they're all obviously non-combative, they're self-defense. But Aikido, you don't use your own energy, you use your opponent's energy. And they have this principle of, you expect nothing, but you're prepared for anything because you're very softly grounded. Whereas if you stand too rigid and solid, expecting something, you get blindsided.
That's absolutely, I love that. And it's so true.
Because you have more peripheral vision and...
I would, when in my 30s, I'd walk into a room and you could feel the energy suck out because I was so louder than life, larger than life. And I kind of getting to know myself, realise that I'm actually not that person. I'll never be quiet. And I think another thing I've learned about myself is that I think this is the right way around, introvert, extrovert.
Yes, yeah. So
it means I like being around people, but I get my energy from being alone.
Yes.
And I crave that.
I can completely relate to that. And I'm not trained in MBTI, but I've spent a lot of time kind of working with it. And I had one of my colleagues do MBTI on me. And what I learned about myself, which was so empowering, was actually I'm an introverted thinker, but I'm an extroverted thinker, but I'm an introverted feeler. So I do my best thinking with others, but I need to process my own emotions on my own and make sense.
It's so interesting. I love the way we're all different. So I think better on my own. So like today, we've got a leadership team meeting, and sometimes I can't give an answer right then. They know that I need time, and that's just who I am, and I think getting to know yourself is a real luxury, actually. And it's something that I think we should all spend time doing, because we are important. We're important to ourselves, and we need to be the best version of ourselves so that others can benefit from us, people that are close to us.
Yeah. And it's, as you say, it's often a privilege in that, have we got the time and have we got the tools to be able to do that reflection and processing? But, oh my God, it's the process that I use in my clients. It's awareness, alignment, and activate. And that awareness piece is the foundation to everything. Who am I? What am I about? How do I work? What's important to me?
Something that happened with Absolute Collagen is I created the power of Sir. And the power of Sir means every absoluter deserves to feel safe, important, and respected, regardless of what, Then when I thought about where that came from, it came from how I treated my children, because I believe that children should be seen and heard, have a voice, be respected, be believed in, but not built up too much that they got to fall so far. Because at the end of the day, our kids are just average kids, right? They start off, we tell them how wonderful they are, and then they get to a certain age, and you have to sort of go, actually, you're just normal, it's fine. And then it started my children. Then it became internal, so all the team are treated with the power of Sir. They need to treat each other with the power of Sir. And then finally, I was able to treat myself with it. I was the last person I gave it to.
Oh, that's interesting, because I thought you were going to say actually that was the first part, but
no, I was the last. My children are always first.
Oh, what a beautiful, you've closed the circle though, because I think that most people are trying to kind of apply it to themselves, but never fully get to that place.
Yeah, it's important. You need to be safe. You need to feel safe, important, and respected. And that often comes from, you need to treat yourself with that first before other people can.
But I think what is incredibly powerful, and I have no doubt it will have contributed to your business success, is that you're applying it internally as an organisation, because most organisations overlook psychological safety, and it's kind of a prerequisite to team performance.
Oh, it is. I mean, if I overhear something I don't like too much, and it's referring to someone else, that the team know that, if they've got, hey, we're at work, there's 7 days in a week, right? We're at work 5. Come on, we need to make this as safe space as possible, where, and I say the most stupid things sometimes, but I always say to my creative teams, I want you to say 200 stupid things. One will be brilliant, but unless you're going to say there's 200 stupid things, we're never going to get that one that's brilliant.
Yes.
Which is to create that space for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So if there's somebody listening to this podcast who might be thinking of starting their own business, or has had like an idea that's just been brewing in the background and have just brushed it off because they're like, who am I to entertain that idea? What advice would you give them?
I would firstly say, bring you to the party. You are your biggest asset exactly as you are. Yes, look at other products, services and brands, because that's what we do. But you will have your own voice, your own stance, your own moral conduct, your own principles. So always turn up as you. And yes, it's really, really hard work. Business isn't difficult, but it's damn hard work. But women it's in our DNA. We work hard and we're built for resilience. It's in us.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's such an important aspect. So if there's just one thing that you hope somebody listening to this podcast and our conversation takes away, what would that one thing be?
Stop to like yourself. Stop looking at the things you don't like about yourself, because there'll always be those. I don't like the fact that I'm greedy sometimes, and I've got the greedy gene, I never deny it. I interrupt people, and I hate that part of me. It's part of my ADHD. But, stop focusing on the negative, because the negative will always weigh you down. We just spend some time to get to know yourself and look at the positives, because you will have the most amazing positives in your makeup. And sometimes we just overlook them.
Absolutely. I'm sure people are going to want to find out more about you, Absolute Collagen, and kind of the world that you operate in. So where would you point people towards? And I can put those links in the show notes for people.
Yeah, sure. So Absolute Collagen is www.absolutecollagen.com. We're Absolute Collagen on Instagram, Facebook, and all the other socials, or Maxine Laceby. Quite simple. I'm on all the socials as well. So yeah, you can follow us and ask me questions or get in contact there.
Brilliant. And I really, really encourage people to follow you on social media, because watching you put your work out into the world is so inspiring. I love following your journey. Before we hit record, we were just sharing you've been in Paris launching your hair, kind of new hair products. You've got the most amazing people on board now with that brand. And I just love following you. So it's a real inspiration.
That's really sweet, and I do it because it's part of my bigger purpose, because I am little old me doing my thing. I have no business experience. I have no qualifications, but look what I've done. And I want women to I do it because I want to empower other women to say you can do it.
And thank you for sharing your work with the world and with me and my audience.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
If you've enjoyed this episode of Wisdom for Working Mums, please share it on social media and with your friends and family. I'd love to connect with you too. So if you head over to wisdomforworkingmums.co.uk, you'll find a link on how to do this. And if you love the show and really want to support it, please go to iTunes, write a review and subscribe. You'll be helping another working mum find this resource too. Thanks so much for listening.